All right, hey, what's up, YouTube? We had a big day in the stock market today, big red day. But even though it was red day, a lot of things still happened. So we're gonna get right into it. I got my little notes here from pre-market all the way to market end and to where we are right now. So we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna bring this right over here. So pre-market, we had AHPI and INM. We called those two out yesterday in yesterday's video. This one was a mask play, and it jumped up $4, and I really wasn't expecting that. I was thinking maybe a lower quantity of shares and maybe get $50 out of it if you put in 100 shares, just something small, something to maybe hedge against other losses or potential things that you might have to hold. But this thing ended up going up $4, I think up to 10. So cashed out on that. That was a great play. Very unexpected, but we're going to get into that one again. INM we called out too. That one retested highs. It didn't go any higher. It's a very slow moving stock. We're going to show that one later too. But it did retest highs, and then not too much more volume came in. This is the one with the increased price target. And then the OLMA, we called this one out yesterday too. This one went way, way down. It was halted into the after hours, so you couldn't even buy in if you wanted to. But basically with OLMA, there was some news that came out on it, and it spiked, and it got halted up, then halted back down. And then it was, I think, 10 or 15 minutes to the close. If it gets halted, it stays halted. So nobody really knew what was going on there. And then this morning, we found out that the news source that came out was a false news source, and that's why it had gotten deleted. We thought maybe it was leaked information, but actually it was false information, which is way worse because it got people to buy in, and then people probably woke up with their investment down. So a lot of people sold out, and it went way down. It went so much lower than when it was trading before that spike, that initial spike happened. So that was pre-market. When the market open happened, it was pretty neutral. It was the first day where we weren't anticipating anything. So Friday we had the anticipation of the COVID news. A lot of things dropped. Monday we had that bounce back where everything kind of recovered. It wasn't like Delta where it was way worse than the previous variant. So a lot of things kind of came back. Vaccine stocks were the only things that had momentum continuing. And then Jerome Powell came out and had a meeting and spoke about inflation and spoke about tapering and how he was willing to increase the speed of which that happens. And that caused a lot of the market to drop. I believe at one point only Apple was up, and it was way up, but everything else was red in the NASDAQ. So that was kind of crazy. It actually dropped lower than Friday's levels. It didn't fully recover, I believe, so it was very easy. Not very easy, but it did just drop a lot, and it went below Friday. So that happened as soon as we were looking at Roblox. Roblox continued green as well. I think during that meeting it was going green. Affirm is a previous stock that did well during pandemic conditions. So these are the ones that we were keeping an eye on. What we're really looking for is immunity or something that's independent. So if there's travel bans, stocks that aren't affected by travel or supply chain and things like that, stuff that's been running previously, or stuff based off earnings too. That was another thing that happened recently. So Nvidia, Apple, Affirm, and Roblox are the ones that we're kind of keeping an eye on. Roblox did really well today. It did fall a bit after when the meeting started, but I think it did recover. And then Apple just did well in general. We're going to show that too. Fear on increasing inflation. Yeah, so they pretty much said that they were calling it transitory and that inflation would just kind of go away. But they kind of admitted finally for the first time, even though everybody knew it, that it's not going anywhere. So my idea here is Bitcoin and crypto is a safe haven to avoid inflation. If typically last time when inflation was going crazy, this is exactly what happened. Bitcoin went crazy. Ethereum's going crazy because of NFTs, and I believe other reasons, even the metaverse hype as well. But whenever I hear inflation, I immediately think Bitcoin as a hedge to inflation. So vaccine stocks as well. I think these kind of have been juiced out of what they can offer, I believe. So you can kind of tell because on Friday they did pop initially, and then they ran again on Monday. But only Moderna was really the one that popped. Pfizer did go, but it's a very slow-moving stock. So even though Pfizer did well today too, but it's a very slow-moving stock. It's one that you'd probably have on the side, but it's not the one that's going to be your biggest gainer. Whereas Moderna jumps, it has a huge range. So Friday had a huge range, gapped up on Monday, had a huge range as well. But it looks like they're starting to cool off from the fear. You're not having a continuation where the first time during the pandemic where everybody was fear selling. So on the opposite end of that, you want something that people can buy into that's going to do well. So we saw like Peloton, the vaccine stocks, and certain stocks like that do way better than Zoom. just get huge pumps out of that. But yeah, it looks like they're cooling off. They didn't get too much momentum, but Monday and Friday were big days, so a lot of opportunity off that, but something to keep an eye on. Yeah, and then the market began to rebound as soon as the conference was over. Not like an immediate recovery or anything, but it did start to bounce back. So now we're gonna go over our watch list for tomorrow. We're going to take a look at Apple first because this one's still going. It finally had a red candle. When I first started recording, it was just going green, green, green. That's why I wanted to pull this one up first. But yeah, this is our watch list based off of what happened today. So Apple had a lot of volume today. It had a lot of positive buying volume as well. During the meeting, past the meeting, it probably did do this here and then came back up. But we're thinking that it could go back down if everything else recovers, or maybe if this is just independent and just had good news in general, it's going to keep going up. But Apple has had recent news with vehicles recently, and I'm not sure if they got other news today that might have been the catalyst for this, but Apple just ran today, really. I'm going to go to the top. So Bfri is one that we talked about yesterday, and we're still looking at it today because it had a price target of $20, and here, just with everything else, this is going to be, you're going to see this pattern a lot here. Everything sold off when the meeting happened. Like when I'm telling you it was bad, it's super bad. Everything dropped like this. And then towards the end of the day, stuff started curling back up, but not all stocks did. A lot of stocks kind of just flatlined here. So to see some kind of volume coming back up is a good sign. Towards the end, some did start coming up, but we are watching this one. It did hit highs of around 11, I believe. But then they did a share offering, which was something that kind of held it down. It's going to be interesting to see if it does come back up. AHPI, this is the mask play I was talking about. I hit highs of 10 before, and then today during pre-market, it just gapped up initially and didn't pop again. This one, you had to be awake if you wanted to cash out, or have like a good to close order in order to sell here. But after it hit 10, it just came back down. But it does show some potential, and there was definitely a reason for this. It is a mask play, so the vaccines being the previous day, it looks like people are just trying to pretty much pump anything related to the COVID stuff. But even prior days, it was going up. So that's going to be one to watch. And of course, this is a very cheap level. So, I mean, if you bought something up here, it wouldn't be, you could double down and average down, but I mean, it's at a low, and that's really what we're looking at for its popping potential and potential to just have huge spikes, and it being at a low, something to consider. And now we have INM. This one had a price target of $6. That's what it started the initial volume coming here. It tested 218 during pre-market, but you can see it's very slow. Not a lot of volume. You can tell by how the candles look here. It's kind of like dots instead of candles. But it is holding some strength. And again, it curling up after when market closes is kind of a good sign. And it has potential to spike 20 cents, 30 cents here and there. Not sure if it's going to go hit that $6 target price, but it's a small catalyst for it. What I've learned recently is that price targets don't always, first of all, it doesn't have to reach that price target anytime soon. And second of all, it doesn't cause a bunch of volume to come in, such as like FDA approval or other kind of news or partnerships and things like that, where actual funding comes in. The price targets are more of a evaluation, and they can vary. Some might put it under, some might put it over. CPIX was a crazy runner. These past 2 days, it went from 2 and now it's sitting around 5. So, I mean, really, so this happened after hours. So you probably saw it here. I believe we mentioned this one yesterday. We saw it around here. But my idea on it was that I wanted to see if there was a good entry on it. I didn't want it to maybe enter here and it comes back down, because we see a lot of that. If we look at the prior stocks we looked at, you don't want to get caught in something like that and have to average down, and then if it just doesn't go back up, you're kind of have your capital tied up or you're first to sell for a loss. But it ended up keep on going. So, I mean, this is very rare. I mean, it does happen. I think this was FDA approval. So it wasn't just a pump and dump. This had some actual volume behind it, and it was only the first day. It did come back down, so which is kind of scary, I guess, if you're holding it, but it did pop up and now it's hitting new highs. It's very close to retesting this high. Last time it did have a lot of volume during after hours, and it's been hitting the high ticker all day. So we'll see if that volume continues or during a pre-market tomorrow. PPSI also popped off during pre-market and then had that sell off here, and then kind of continued, just barcoded these 3 times until market close. ADGI. Okay, so this one, I don't remember what this catalyst was, but it jumped from 48 all the way to 72. It was a pump and dump though. It looks like, right? Like it didn't, after this meeting, it just kind of lost all its volume, and it's a therapeutics play. So it's just sitting at a low. It's pretty much where it was trading before. It is still kind of reaching higher highs, but it gave up a lot of its gains here. But if it sees any kind of volume, even half of this tomorrow, that's still a lot of range to play with. Another thing to consider there, Progenity had a patent approval, I believe, or a new patent, and so weeks ago it had earnings, and then the week before that it was just I guess maybe pre-earnings run up where it was just going up. I think it hit $5 at one point or just over, and it looks like it came back down. This is the first time I've really taken a look at it until then. But this morning it did have patent approval, so it popped all the way up. Pretty good range here, 80 cents on this cheap stock like this. It's a lot of room for gains. And of course it crashed with the meeting that happened today, and it's sitting at a low. So another thing to consider. This one is the one that has a lot of volume. It's a very popular stock, and so tomorrow morning it might see some more volume. Apple, we covered this one. It's just pretty much positive in general. Typically I don't have more expensive stocks on here, but it was one of the only winners today, and everybody knows Apple. So okay, this one's a very interesting one. So this one just IPO'd a few days ago, started at 40, and it went all the way up to 100. AeroClean Technologies, I'm not sure what this company is, but it might be because of COVID, or maybe it's a cleaning company or some kind of company like that, where like Clorox was going crazy too because of COVID. It might have been something similar to that, or maybe they just pumped it because it was in that area. But yeah, so it went crazy that day, and then it kind of just stalled out here, sat around $80. And then today, or was this today? This was after hours. Okay, so it looked like yesterday it kind of went up here and chilled around 113. Didn't hold that at all. But the reason we're looking at this one is because of the range. It dropped from 120 all the way to $14. Now, if you're holding at 80, if you're holding at 120, of course, you're probably not going to like this stock. And you're not going to want to invest in it again or even trust this thing because of what it can do like this. Because we have very little data to work with, which is probably why something that started at 40 ended at 120. People take profits at the end of the day, and if everybody's taking profits and it starts down here, if people want to see green, they don't want to take a loss on it, everybody's gonna sell off. So there was a big range on the downside, but now we've seen something that has the potential to go up a huge range, $80. I mean, will it retest this high? I mean, I don't know if it will, but could it get back to 40 or even 60? Right now we're sitting at 24. I think so. It could be a long-term play. It could happen overnight. Who knows? This one is one that seems a lot of volume. Like, this doesn't look very big here, but if you look at the range, it's from 80 to 120. That's $40 off of this move here. So it's not very, it's not very out of the ordinary that this might jump a few dollars. And your bottom is 14, so you have maybe like a $10 downside and a pretty blue sky upside. So this one's just very interesting. I'm curious how this is going to play out. But what it's actually valued at, I mean, probably not anything up here. Maybe I'm wrong. News, I think this one was popping prior weeks, but I don't know if we got news today, but midday it popped. And so the reason I like this one is because it's the first day. Typically, if it comes back down, it popped after hours too. This is crazy. I didn't see this. So this one might come back down. You might want to look for a good entry. The reason I pulled this one onto the watch list is because I thought it was ending here. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for continuation momentum, but it looked like it already made a move. So when it already makes a move like this, the chances of it continuing are very, I wouldn't say low, but it looks like it already made a move. You missed a lot of the volume. So waiting for a better entry where people are taking profits, have already finished taking profits, and you have an influx of buyers, it might be better than trying to just FOMO out on this. So this one might be one to watch, but not necessarily as good of an opportunity as some of the others here. But hey, at least it's proven itself. I always see this as a green, as a positive, even though it pops off without you. One, you were looking at something that was kind of correct, but two, it's kind of just confirming its potential. LGVN. Okay, so this one we had on the watch list yesterday, and we were talking about how its range was around 28 up to 35, and it could retest 35. I didn't retest 35 today, but it came down actually. And so, I mean, this is talk about a better entry. We talked about it like over here. It was pretty low. But retesting 35, I mean, even if you, the thing is, you got to go with an amount where you're willing to hold. Because if you buy here after hours and it comes down here and you sell because you're scared, you got to look at your downside. Like this isn't an unreasonable downside because it hit 16 before and it went back up. It hit 18 before and went back up. It hit 22 before and went back up. And so you got to be willing, you got to put yourself in a place where you're going to go in with the amount of shares where if it does go down, you can hold, not tie up all your capital. And you're also not going to be freaking out every time you look at your account. Because when it does pop, this one does have potential to pop back up. You're going to be good, but you don't want to tie up your capital until that happens. Because if it doesn't happen or anything happens, maybe negative news comes out, you don't want to put yourself in a bad position like that. It's all about risk management at the end of the day. But we got new. Okay, so we were LGVN's been popping the past week really, and we were expecting some kind of share offering, a private share offering that would be a negative catalyst for this stock, but we actually, instead of getting that, we got more trial news, I believe, another partnership news. So it came all the way from 22 down to 31.40. So if you're day trading this is a really good entry anytime down here. I think after that meeting, I saw a lot of things as, I mean, you could almost buy a lot of stocks and just kind of ride the curl back up and still come out profitable. But this one, of course, because it's potential to pop up like $10, $15, even a better trade. Now, if you're swing trading and you're trying not to use day trades and you're under the pattern day trading rule, that's where I would say smaller quantities. You might just want to risk management of a lot better than if you're day trading and you can afford to kind of move around a lot. But it popped up all the way to 31, and it looks like it's coming down after hours. A lot of the volume is kind of gone on this one, but it doesn't take much volume for this one to run because I think it only has a small amount of shares available, which is why it can move like this. So I still like this one. It looks like it's at a low. I highly doubt it'll come back and retest 20 after hours just because it got good news. It looks like people did take profits though. That was a very quick move. So we'll see. ARDX. This one, I believe it had a price target increase. I think, I don't know which bank gave it a price target increase, but it was a big one. I think it was like a $23 price target, and it was sitting at $1 here. So it had some volume, but it kind of dumped, and it's staying up here. So just want to keep an eye on maybe some continuation volume tomorrow, or if it comes down, it could be a good entry, or maybe wait a day to see how it might look and see how it proves itself. Because something that comes up this much, yeah, I mean, it does have a price target increase, which is a kind of a catalyst, but it's just a catalyst for volume, really. It doesn't really confirm anything. So it's another one to look at. Of course, do your own due diligence and kind of do some more studying on these, but look at all the charts and patterns and make your own decisions, of course. But I'm pretty excited. I think today was pretty awesome. It was a big red day, but whenever you're managing your risk and you're kind of prepared for this, you kind of see a lot of the crashing and burning going around you, not necessarily your account. Of course, it's hard to prevent something like this from happening when you're trying to play the market and you are in it, because inherently when everything comes down, you're going to get caught in that too. But and you always don't want to be worrying about the market crashing, and that's why you're managing that kind of risk as well. But it does happen. We knew about Jerome Powell speaking for about a week, I believe, or maybe even more. So sometimes it does have an effect on the market, sometimes not. This is Jerome Powell's renomination, so it was one of the first things where he was gonna either change something that he had originally planned or continue what he was originally planning. And that was kind of the scary part of getting a new person, because if someone else comes in and switches up his plan, it could flip everything. And that's what a lot of people were worried about. But since Jerome Powell was continuing, a lot of the market just kind of like, oh, okay, well, nothing's really changing. Why would it? It's the same person. But he did decide, hey, if we need to, we would go faster on tapering. And that caused a lot of panic. I believe that's it here. If you have any other stocks that you're looking at, or if I missed anything, please leave it in the comments. I'd be interested in checking them out. I'd even do like a little small review in the comments or whatever, just kind of look at it. But yeah, I'm gonna be keeping an eye on these aftermarket and then pre-market tomorrow. So if you made it to the end of this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave some support and a thumbs up, and follow the channel if you're interested in daily updates after hours. I typically wait about 15 minutes, so that way any other movers after hours, anybody gets news, earnings, stuff like that, we can kind of get a little bit more of what's going on with the market before ending that. And then I'll cover this so that way anybody who's swing trading has time or to look at all these stocks before after hours, because once post market closes you have no more chances to buy. So yep, that's gonna be it for this video. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time.